Imagine driving a new electric vehicle, but spending just $10,000 on your new ride. It's a reality in China, just not in the US, where Americans spend an average of over $53,000 on buying an EV, more than double where the median asking price stands for Chinese consumers. There's a chance these cheaper vehicles may become available in the future, but a number of issues stand in the way. For starters, the rivalry between Washington and Beijing has put the industry in a challenging position.
Look at the situation. The U.S. and China, the relations are at their worst in 50 years. And should the U.S. become over-reliant on Chinese batteries, well, it would be so simple. Just the Chinese would say, sorry, we don't have enough supply for you.
This year, the White House introduced rules to keep China out of the American EV market, including a block on tax breaks for all foreign-made electric vehicles, as well as preventing American car companies from accessing incentives if they use parts or raw materials sourced from China. That's on top of a 2018 tariff from the Trump administration, adding to the cost of any Chinese-made car. The policy has continued under President Biden.
And they're not going to be eligible for example, the $7,500 incentive that's available. That being said, if they have a major cost advantage to start with, you could argue that even if they don't have those incentives, they could still be competitive from a price point standpoint. But then you get into the geopolitical issues, buying a Chinese vehicle in the U.S.
According to a Morgan Stanley report, Beijing controls 90% of the EV supply chain. This poses a challenge for the Biden administration as it pushes to electrify. China dominates the materials market. In 2023, the country was responsible for more than half of all EV sales and nearly 2/3 of EV production worldwide.
The future of the auto industry is electric. There's no turning back. Right now, China is leading in this race. They're moving ahead. They're not waiting for the United States of America.
Beijing continues to pour billions of dollars into the industry, 130 since 2016. And that investment from the PRC has led to hundreds of options for consumers, including the world's cheapest EVs. Compare that to just 51 models available to Americans, the least expensive of which cost more than twice its Chinese counterpart.
And the Chinese have been very aggressive in motivating the purchase of electric vehicles, which represent a much higher percentage of new vehicle sales in China than they do in the United States.
It's not just tax and trade policies keeping these cars away from the States, though, but regulations as well. Most Chinese vehicles are not engineered to comply with American safety standards, and adapting can be an expensive process. An industry study found differing auto safety regulations in the US and European Union force automakers to spend over $2 billion annually. There's also the costs associated with building a retail network, though that could be coming sooner than expected. According to the Financial Times, 3 major Chinese EV companies are planning to build new factories in Mexico. The news reportedly worrying U.S. officials who say this could open a back door for Chinese EVs to find a way into the American auto market.
China has a bigger manufacturing scale than all other countries. And they're using that scale to make these batteries not just in China, but they're making them in Germany and in Mexico. And they're now exporting those electric vehicles around the world with sights on the American market. And they think they're going to win.
Executives with Ford Motor Group say the U.S. is still not ready to compete with Beijing when it comes to electric vehicles. In Europe, where tariffs on Chinese-made EVs are much lower, car makers are expected to collectively lose $7 billion in profits to China by 2030.
I can announce today that the Commission is launching an anti-subsidy investigation into electric vehicles coming from China. Global markets are now flooded with cheaper Chinese electric cars. And their price is kept artificially low by huge state subsidies. This is distorting our market.
While getting more electric vehicles on American roadways is a major goal of the current administration, it's clear that tapping into China's robust and affordable supply is a complicated process.